I'm Wally Amos. Read It Loud is a foundation that creates awareness about the benefits, the values, and the importance of parents, adults reading aloud to children from birth to age 6 for at least 10 minutes a day. If you do that, you will have a reader. The idea is not just to learn to read, but to have a thirst for words, a love for reading. Reading aloud works. It's been working for generations, and it works today. Read it loud! Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. All the places to love. The author is Patricia MacLachlan. These are paintings. The illustrations in here are photographs of paintings that were painted by Mike Wimmer, W-I-M-M-E-R, and the publisher is HarperCollins. This book is about remembering. On the day I was born, my grandmother wrapped me in a basket made from the wool of her sheep. She held me up in the open window so that what I heard first was the wind. What I saw first were all the places to love. The valley, the river falling down over rocks, the hilltop where the blueberries grew. As I shared that, I thought of you guys living in this environment where you have the mountains, you have the ocean. It's a pretty beautiful place to be raised in. And as you grow older, perhaps, you will have memories of growing up. My grandfather was painting the barn. And when he saw me, he cried. He carved my name, Eli, on a rafter. These are rafters that hold up the barn. So he carved my name, Eli, and there's Eli carved there on a rafter beside his name and grandmother's name and the names of my papa and mama. So our grandfather has carved everybody's name on the rafters in this barn as they were born. Mama carried me on her shoulders before I could walk through the meadows and hayfields. The cows watched us and the sheep scattered. The dogs ran ahead, looking back with sly smiles. When the grass was high, only their tails showed. So this is a painting. Isn't it beautiful, though? You know, all the different colors. And he really captured the countryside. It's a great way to illustrate a book. When I was older, Papa and I plowed the fields. Where else is soil so sweet, he said. Once Papa and I lay down in the field holding hands, and the birds surrounded us. Rockers, black, cracklers, red wings, crows in the dirt that swaggered like pirates. When we left, Papa put a handful of dirt in his pocket. I did too. As little boys or as little children, we idolize our parents and we want to do the things that they do. And that's what they're doing out in the field. What kind of birds are these? Crows. Crows. What sound does a crow make? My grandmother loved the river best of all the places to love. That sound, like a whisper, she said, gathering in pools where trout flashed like jewels in the sunlight. Grandmother sailed little bark boats downriver to me with messages. I love you, Eli, one said. So, growing up in an area like Waimanalo is a greater experience, I believe, than growing up in the big city, because you have experiences and you have memories that really help to keep you closer to the earth, keep you closer to nature, and I think that's a really good experience to grow up in. We jumped from rock to rock to rock across the river to where the woods began, where bunchberry grew under the pine needle path and trillium bloomed. Under the beech tree was a soft, rounded bed where a deer had slept, and there is where that deer slept. The bed was warm when I touched it. So to be that close to nature and to be able to see aspects of nature, it gives you a whole different perspective on life. You guys go hiking sometimes? Yeah. Love hiking. It's really great. And you can hike year-round here because the weather is always great. When spring rains came and the meadow turned to marsh, cattails stood like guards and killdeers called. Ducks nested by marsh marigolds, and the old turtle, his shell all worn, no matter how slow, still surprised me. There are the birds. There's the little old turtle. Sometimes we climb to the place Mama loved the best with our blueberry buckets and a chair for my grandmother, to the blueberry barren where no trees grew, the sky an arm's length away. Sometimes on those great days when you're up in the mountains and the sky looks so close that you think you can just reach up and touch it. Where marsh hawks skimmed over the land and bears came to eat fruit. And wild turkeys left footprints for us to find, like messages. Where else, said my mama, can I see the sun rise on one side and the sun set on the other? My grandfather's barn is sweet-smelling and dark and cool. Leather harnesses hang like paintings against old wood, and hay dust floats like gold in the air. Grandfather once lived in the city, and once he lived by the sea, but the barn is the place he loves most. Where else, he says, can the soft sound of cows chewing make all the difference in the world? I love these paintings, though. They are really nice. Because the words and the paintings obviously help to tell the story. Today, we wait, him sitting on a wooden slat chair and me on the hay, until much later my grandmother holds up a small bundle in the open window, wrapped in a blanket made from the wool of her sheep. and my grandfather cries. So what he's now doing also is remembering and reliving his birth and the experience that he had. Now, here comes his brother that will have that same experience. So the tradition just continues on, and the memories are deep within your soul. Together, we carve the name Sylvie in the rafter, beside the names of grandfather and grandmother, and my mama and papa, and me, my sister, is born. Sylvie. So all the names in the rafters. Someday I might live in the city. Someday I might live by the sea. But soon I will carry Sylvie on my shoulders through the fields. I will send her messages downriver in small boats. And I will watch her at the top of the hill trying to touch the sky. I will show her my favorite place, the marsh, where ducklings follow their mother like tiny tumbles of leaves. What a wonderful picture. And life continues. There's Sylvie now. So she's following in his footsteps and following him all around now. So books can remind you of times that you've long forgotten. They can take you back to places that might no longer exist. Thanks for reading, guys. Thanks for being a great audience. Bye-bye.